For the police department. Thank you for joining us here today. Soon we're going to hear from Commissioner Outlaw. We're also going to be hearing from Staff Inspector Ernest Ransom, who's the commanding officer of the homicide unit. We're going to be providing an update on 3 individual homicide investigations that occurred in 2023 and providing updates on all of them. After Staff Inspector Ransom gives a rundown of the investigations, we're going to open it up briefly for Q&A afterwards. But let's start with Commissioner Outlaw. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. We appreciate you joining us. We're here today to provide some pretty significant updates on several homicide cases that have occurred since the start of the year. 3 separate incidents that resulted in the murders of 5 people. First, I want to give my deepest condolences to the families and the friends and the loved ones of the victims, all victims actually here in our city. We understand that no amount of justice can bring back their loved ones, but we have not and we will not rest until all of those responsible for terrorizing our city are taken into custody. Look, we know that violence is often a symptom of something much larger, a much larger problem. Where we find gun violence, we also find troubling activities such as group violence, narcotics use, narcotic sales, and quite frankly, urban decay. But with all of that said, what's most important is we cannot lose sight over the fact that it's the actual perpetrators of these heinous acts that are making the final decision to pull the trigger. And as you've probably heard us or me say time and time again, it's a very small percentage of individuals, of trigger pullers, that are responsible and are driving the largest proportion of crime, violent crime, here in our city. That's why we're here today. That's why our pinpoint strategy is so crucial to the reduction of violent crime in our city. As you know, Operation Pinpoint is our place-based strategy that takes a surgical approach to gun violence by focusing our resources strategically on our problematic people and places, as well as the underlying neighborhood conditions that we are seeing drive gun violence. Violent criminals have to be taken into custody. There have to be consequences. They must be held accountable, and that's exactly what we're announcing today. Before I turn it over to Staff Inspector Ernest Ransom, who's standing here to my left, he's the commanding officer of our homicide unit, I want to make one final point. While we continue to work on proactive violence reduction strategies here in the city, PPD always continues to work cases behind the scenes. Police operations often extend well beyond the work of police officers, and while sometimes unrecognized for their contributions to policing, our forensic investigators and our technicians play a very significant role in analyzing evidence and solving cases in our city. The work, quite frankly, just never stops. And although you might not hear us regularly, you might not see us or me on TV, it doesn't mean that we're not out here grinding, busting our asses doing the work. And that's why it's important for us to share the updates on these homicide investigations, because we need the community to know, we need families of our victims to know, we need these suspects to know that we're constantly working around the clock to ensure that those who are responsible for these crimes will be brought to justice. All across our city, along with our local, state, and federal partners, the women and men of this department are laser focused on investigating and apprehending those who seek to harm the people who live, work, and play in our beautiful city. And I just want to thank publicly each and every one of these professionals, especially ADA Joanne Pescator, who's standing behind me, Chief of Homicide at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, for their unwavering commitment to justice. And of course, I want to thank the community for their support and their assistance. Their help has been invaluable in bringing offenders to justice as well. So in that, I'm going to close, and please know, again, if you don't hear anything else today, please know that we will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that our great city is a safe place for all of us to live and prosper. Staff Inspector Ransom.
Good afternoon. First of all, our hearts go out to all the victims of these crimes. No one should go through these type of incidents. Just know that our hearts go out to them. So we're here to talk about the arrest of Edwin Vargas. He's a 24-year-old Hispanic male. On Monday, January the 9th, on the 7300 block of Rowland Street, there was a shooting incident that resulted in 4 males being shot. 3 of those males succumbed to their injuries. The 4th male was in the hospital in critical condition. As a result of good, strong police work, excellent detective work, and the utilization of technology, we were able to arrest Edwin Vargas. He was ultimately charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. I think it's important you understand what kind of individual Edwin was. On Tuesday, January the 3rd, at about 1:51 a.m., which is 6 days prior to this quadruple shooting, there was a homicide at 900 West Hunting Park Avenue. The officers responded to that location. There was a car that crashed at that location, and inside that car on the passenger seat was an unresponsive male. That male was shot 1 time in the left side of the head. He succumbed to his injuries. This assignment was immediately assigned to Detective Janelle Craig, who's here as well. And within 14 days of this incident, she was able to put together the pieces that ultimately led to the arrest of Edwin Vargas. That arrest occurred on 1/17. Unfortunately, that arrest came 7 days too late, because prior to that, on the 9th, Edwin Vargas was part of a group that shot up 6700 block of Rowland Street, and 3 individuals end up dying. We believe the motive in both of these incidents was domestic in nature, and that's what we have so far. We received a number of tips, and I'm here to tell you right now, the tips really, truly do work. If I can say anything to the public, please, we have put mechanisms in place that you can call us anonymously, so you can give us the information we need to bring these jobs, to close these jobs, and bring closures to the families as well. There was another incident at the 7150 Torresdale Avenue. This is at the Exxon gas station. The decedent here was a 67-year-old Asian male, a worker. 3 males entered the store. One of the males produced a weapon and shot the store clerk. He laid there dying as they proceeded to rob him. As a result of that, we have 3 males of interest, and we believe we should be able to bring this to a close. And that particular incident was, again, a robbery as well. And again, the results of the closure of these cases not only come from good, excellent detective work, excellent patrol work, but also the tips that we receive from the tip hotline, and also the calls we get from homicide as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're now going to open it up to questions. KJ.
So when you say motive was domestic in nature, what was specifically what was the motive, if you know, for either or both?
Well, that's still part of the investigation as well, but through our investigation, through the information that we received, through the notes of testimony, notes of interviews, we know it's domestic in nature, and I'll leave it at that.
They knew, essentially the victims knew.
It appears that way on the surface.
Okay. And then the second part of that is, are you looking for anybody else for either?
On the 6700 block of Rowland Street, based on the videos that we have, we believe there's 2 other individuals involved. So this investigation has not stopped.
And so what's the relationship between them and the victims?
The,
Are they related to each other? Are they a friend group?
We're not sure the direct relationship between them, but we just know there's some type of domestic incident, domestic relation as well. Now, whether they are courteous to each other or they say hi to each other on the street, whatever the case may be, we just know there's some type of relationship.
And I understand that he has been charged in a domestic incident that happened on December 30th. When you're saying it's domestic in nature, are you saying that these homicides are being connected to that original domestic incident?
Well, that's still part of the investigation.
The 3 males of interest in the gas station shooting, can you release their names, or are they in custody?
No, we cannot at this time.
And are they in custody? Or?
Yes, they are currently detained.
Okay.
Are we talking about Edwin?
Yes, I'm sorry. I know we're not back.
That's okay. We're still investigating that as well. Based on his history, we don't know, but we will look into it.
Do you have the name of the victims? The three guys killed for Edwin?
We're talking on Roland Street. So we have a Christopher Batista. He's an 18-year-old male. We have a Miguel Delgado. He's a 19-year-old male. And we have a Miguel Santos. He is a 24-year-old male.
They are Dominican, all of them?
I don't know if they're Dominican, but I'm sorry. Oh, the surviving victim, we won't release that information. Oh, Hunting Park. His name is going to be, I'm sorry, give me a second here. Cesar Santos, 28-year-old male.
I understand Mr. Vargas has a pretty long track record. Do you know anything about the guns? Do you think how he got them? Where did those guns?
No, ma'am.
Separately, can I ask about something else? It's about the suburbs.
Can I ask one more?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. That's, I didn't know if I was done. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Rushing, we'll do that, then we'll get to that.
You said that he's maybe involved in a group. Is he involved in group violence? And what's his relationship to?
Again, that's part of the investigation, so I won't disclose that at this point.
So in total, he's facing 4 murder charges.
That is correct.
Okay, great. This question is best for, I guess, more, but the question about, so Monco and Box, there was a big indictment today, or charges against the 2 adults and several juveniles. And there were guns that were stolen that may have been used in some of the crimes here in Philadelphia. Can you talk about that? Do you have any information about that?
What I could say is myself, the commissioner, and some of the other deputies met with the ATF this morning. That was the subject of what we spoke about. We've been working very closely with the ATF, our TFOs, and some of our divisional detectives with Monco and Bucks on those burglaries where the guns were taken. We have recovered some of them guns in Philadelphia. There have been arrests, and they're part of open and ongoing cases. There are some still outstanding. So there have been several warrants served. There have been a number of them recovered. I don't have them numbers on me, but we are working very closely with them.
Are they related to robberies, shootings? Can you talk about
There was one I could tell you that was related to a carjacking, a series of carjackings where an individual was charged, and he's been federally charged.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much, folks. And just want to say again, if you have information on these homicides or anything else, please utilize our anonymous tip lines, 215-686-TIPS, 8477. You can also send text to that same number. Thank you very much.